Teachers of Reddit, what are some positive trends you have noticed in today's youth? As a health prof, students tend to be drinking a lot more water than when I was at school. Probably around 80% of kids tend to have water bottles, I've noticed now. I remember back in grades 1 to 5 I always saw people thanking the janitor. My dad would always tell me how that never happened back in his day. Art teacher here, my 6-year-old students are really good with encouraging statements, absolutely unprompted by us. We were working with Clay and the shyest girl, who had never spoken once, said, "Wow Riley, you did a great job on your bunny. It looks beautiful." Or when a girl cried because hers broke, a student said, "Don't worry Coco, you can repair it, it'll be okay." Just very kind things like that. You wouldn't believe a 6-year-old would have the selflessness to say. They are not only more open about their own mental health, they are vigilant about their friends as well. Twice I've had students come to me concerned about a peer, once because a girl had started hurting herself, and once because a boy was showing hints of suicidal thoughts. Both students are currently doing much better. I'm drill instructor, fire department. I work for a career department, so the 18-19-year recruits I get aren't customers providing revenue by paying to be there. They are paid to be there and can be fired. It's a lot like the military. Our academy was built around parascience doctrine by a couple former Marine Ds. A decade ago this was used to take advantage of them, badly. These days the wet behind the ears new high school grads are so incredibly, remarkably intelligent. Gone are the days where a recruit will blindly accept information. Now I have yet to have a recruit contradict a direct order, but in the presentation of information they will ask pertinent questions that absolutely keep us instructors accountable. And if I don't know the answer, oftentimes they will get on the internet and figure it out and bring it to me. Or they will bring several different possible answers to their questions and bring them to me for clarification. They also won't take injustice. In the fire service there is a long-standing rift between the old guard and the new. One former recruit was incorrectly disciplined for something he did not do, and it was proven as such. Unfortunately for him, his company officer and battalion officer were part of that old guard. Each emphatically urged him to take the discipline, a formal write-up, plus exclusion from the pertaining activity for 12 months, to not rock the boat since you're new. Obviously he didn't, he fought it and won. But the old guard slandered his name and dismissed him as one of those disrespectful self-centered millennials. Thankfully that mentality seems to be here to stay, as I see it more and more with every recruit class that comes through. The old ways of blatant injustice mislabeled as how we did it or respect are disappearing. As a university history professor, I've noticed that even first-year students are more willing to express countering opinions and views. There are far fewer who just regurgitate my lectures and instead offer counterpoints and disagreement, which is an amazing trend for academic debate. It wasn't until graduate work that I really felt comfortable disagreeing with an assigned reading or a professor, and the level of understanding needed to synthesize your own counter-argument is much higher than simple memorization. Edit, because it's been mentioned multiple times, I'm referring to well-reasoned disagreement, not flat earth conspiracies. In my class I often assign multiple readings on a single topic to showcase varying views, and in discussion and written responses I'm encouraged to see students who are willing to state to a professor why they disagree with writer A, and to explain their reasoning. Occasionally I even throw in a trap reading. For example, an editorial written by a radical Zionist when discussing mandatory Palestine, and I take special note of students who comment directly that the source is less credible because they took it upon themselves to look up the author and discovered their bias. To me, rote memorization of dates is largely useless, which is to say that I teach towards comprehension. For instance, I do not care that a student can from memory tell me that the Battle of Stalingrad ended on the 2nd of February 1943, but rather that they can explain why the result of that battle was so influential in the eventual outcome of the larger war, with extra points if they can point to ways it contributed to the establishment of the Iron Curtain and the Soviet influence in Eastern Europe after the war. Kids today are much more open with their feelings. I hear "I love you" so much more. Not between kids in relationships, but between friends, no matter the genders. It's an amazing and heartwarming thing to see/hear. This will be my 4th year working with kids with disabilities. The severity ranges from mild to severe. Not once in my 4 years have I ever had a kid ask, "What's wrong with him?" I've never had a high-functioning individual question someone else. And I really like that. Being kinder to animals, jerks I grew up with used to hit strays with stones and sticks. More popular kids/stronger standing up for the weaker/different. Not a teacher, but a security officer in a college. I teach 2nd grade. They are much kinder and they are much better readers than kids even 10 years ago. I'd say they are better at forming their own opinions on issues and morals, which I would largely attribute to their access to the internet, and thus getting to see and hear a wider variety of viewpoints. I remember when it used to be that my dad likes Bush, so I like Bush kind of thing, but now I hear kids have actually individual viewpoints and intelligent conversations about world issues. Plus, I feel like they are more open and honest. It's not uncommon for kids to tell me how they're feeling, or what's going on with them in their personal lives, or what they think of what's going on with the class or me, usually all of this without any prompting. It helps me adjust to what they need and feel and want, and also just helps us build that bond. When I was their age, 7th grade, I was a steel trap when it came to talking to teachers about what was going on with me, and pretty much all my peers were the same. Empathy. Children today are much more empathetic. I teach 5-6-year-olds and had 3 special needs children in my class this past year, with one being quite extreme. The children quickly picked up that child needed extra attention and would ask if they could help as well. These children give me hope, y'all. When kids actually commit to something, they are extremely resourceful. Students want to learn. This is something many people misunderstand, especially some teachers. Students want to learn, but education is so slow to respond to society, especially technology, that we are asking 21st century students to learn in a mid to late 20th century pedagogy. My school still argues about cell phone policies, instead of embracing phones as the amazing resource they are. Our district talks about going 1-to-1 with laptops, when it would make more sense to integrate proper smartphone use into curricula. Honestly, we have almost an entire generation that walks into classrooms with the most important communication and learning device ever created, and we tell them to put them away. Edit. There is a famous quote about schools I like to remember: if you want to walk through a museum, walk around a high school. Kids are incredibly intelligent. Because of the internet they have now, they can learn about anything whenever and quickly. They also learn more because parenting is improved, teaching is improved, and so they have so much more research on what they are doing that they become more efficient. The resumes I see from high school students are better than what I had graduating from college. I'd also second that they are much kinder. Some of the things I overhear flabbergast me with how different things are from when I was in high school 18 years ago. They are more aware of the general goings on in the world and have a strong sense of justice. Along with that, as others have mentioned in this thread, they are more accepting of differences. The bully/victim trope is less of a thing now, where I am, at least, and kids usually love and let live. The flip side of this is that a lot of kids are getting faulty information, and a lot of them carry fairly shocking, uninformed opinions because of what they've heard or read on the internet. They are more pragmatic about the choices they make, taking measures to reduce the amount of student debt they are going to accrue. They are also much more accepting of people of other cultures. Much less discrimination, it seems, have much more focus on the environment than my generation. This is probably going to get lost, but I teach emotionally disturbed kids who can't attend mainstream high school because of their behavior. These are kids that treat the majority of the people they interact with like shit. They use slurs and swear and can just be all round horrible to each other. We have one kid who's full on autistic, but the parents refuse to have him diagnosed, so he's with us, not in an autism unit. They don't say a word to him. They listen to him rant about chickens and rabbits and even ask him questions about it. It's so bizarre to see kids frothing at the mouth and calling me a fucking cunt, and then gently redirecting the autistic kid away. They are so much more accepting of disabilities than my gen was. It's great. I have noticed that my freshmen, for the most part, tend to be very open, I guess, is the right word. They seem to readily share their thoughts, ideas, problems, etc. with each other. They put each other's thumb/fingerprints in their phones, readily share them, and don't really have anything to hide. They are also super honest and upfront with me. I don't know if this is truly going to turn out to be a positive thing in the long run, but their expectations of privacy are very different than mine. I think it is an offshoot of social media culture. Collaborative learning through taking class notes on things like shared Google Docs. Students adding comments where they don't understand parts of a lecture, and other students will explain. Edit. Wow, this brought amazing conversation. Thank you for the silver and gold. Fantastic humans. As a teacher, sparking discourse is fantastic. Ask questions and stay collaborative, friends. It seems to me that students today are increasingly more aware, curious, and resourceful. Everything from climate change to science, from the arts to socio-political considerations. They question things more directly and are adept at exploring and finding answers as they adroitly navigate the internet. Acceptance is definitely the biggest one. I teach 8th grade and had a transgender boy who came out over the summer. One of the most popular boys in school and him formed an incredible friendship and even dressed as each other one day for fun. The really popular kid is a preppy jock and the other boy is totally punk rock. And this is just one story of many. Yes, there are still those asshole kids who target anyone who is different, but they are now in the minority. I see kids partaking in a wider variety of activities. The lines between stereotypical social groups are blurred much more than when I was a kid. Kids might be doing football one season, theater the next, and go to Lego camp in the summer. I do sex ed for 14 to 16-year-olds. They always ask how to satisfy the opposite sex and seem less selfish.